Welcome back to another episode of Rumor Mill. I'm Michael Lindsay from VitalMX, and just as a disclaimer before we start, Rumor Mill. This is a show we do that is based on the gossip and the rumors floating around the pits, the things that are being talked about. Again, anything we talk about in the show is not locked in. It has not been announced, but we only usually talk about these things on the show because it's been passed around enough. We believe there is some validity or a good possibility of these things happening. As the old saying is, where there's smoke, there is probably fire. So this entire episode is based around what will be going on with the Monster Energy Star Yamaha 250 program in 2023. Silly season is getting rocking early for these guys, as there is going to be a tremendous amount of movement in their program this offseason. Some of it is just happening with the situations of their riders being successful and having to move on to the 450 class, and some of it has to do with riders leaving the program and new ones incoming. So first off, we're going to talk about who is exiting the 250 program at the end of the 2022 season. So the first two that most were aware of entering the season would be Colt Nichols and Justin Cooper. They both won regional supercross titles in 2021, which meant they were both slated to defend coming into the 2022 season. Due to injuries, they both had to swap coasts initially from what was expected for them, so they would not actually defend their exact regions they had won. But, of course, we saw Colt Nichols sadly was injured in the first heat race at Anaheim 1. And then following that, Justin Cooper was injured during the week and would be unable to even line up for his regional supercross. Both riders right now are slated to be back for the outdoor championship, with Justin Cooper already back on the bike and Colt Nichols supposedly getting back on in about the next week or so. However, the AMA rulebook is written fairly precisely for this. Once you win a regional supercross championship, you can only defend it 1 year, and it has to be the following calendar year. Even if you are hurt and miss it, that still counts. You are moving on to the 450 class. The only exception to this is called, a lot of people like to call it the Trey Canard rule. Trey Canard won his regional championship in his very first year of racing. So they did add an exclusion in there. If you win your title on your rookie season, you're allowed to defend twice. So you at least get 3 years of racing in regional before you have to go to full-time Premier 450. However, of course, Justin Cooper and Colt Nichols are both well into their careers, meaning they are only allowed to defend one time the following year. There was rumors that both riders would petition because of their injuries to stay down, and a lot thought maybe Justin Cooper would have a leg to stand on due to the fact that he never even started his series. The AMA, though, has said over and over that they would uphold the ruling and both would have to move on. So they're going 450. As of right now, we are not sure where both of them will land. We've heard rumors teams that are interested in Colt Nichols. There are some very high-level teams looking at him, but nothing is solidified. And there is a possibility that Justin Cooper could stay with Star Yamaha on a 450. We feel like the guys moving up has the strongest link to possibly moving up, especially he's been with the Yamaha brand a long time. This opportunity is also fairly available because one rider that we believe was offered that spot but has already turned it down is the other rider that will be departing to the 450 class, Christian Craig. Coming into the Salt Lake race this weekend, Craig has a very strong chance of locking up his first ever professional championship. Even though he is, I believe, 30 years old, he would still be allowed to defend next year. However, with his age and just how he feels like his career path is gone, he would like to move to the 450 class regardless. Even if barring a mechanical or big crash, even if he doesn't win the championship this weekend, he is still going 450 in 2023, and he will actually be moving teams. It has not been announced yet, but it's very well known in the pits that he is signed with the Rockstar Husqvarna team for 2023 and 2024 aboard a 450 full-time and will partner Malcolm Stewart next year. We do believe that the Monster Energy Star Yamaha program made him an offer to counter against this. We did cover in another video for some of the reasons we think that Christian has taken the Husky deal, but ultimately that's why he signed. So those three are moving on because of 450 reasons. The other rider that we have heard will be leaving the team, this is not official, we're about 90% sure though on this one, is Jeremy Martin will depart the squad at the end of the season, but for another Yamaha team. The rumor is that Jeremy Martin has put pen to paper with the Muc-Off FXR Club Yamaha team. They have gained a lot more support, a lot better results the last couple years, and Jeremy has possibly inked a deal with him. We do know that a few weeks back they made him an offer. We thought there was a chance that Star had countered, but ultimately it looks like the club team has won over his services. Jeremy was on a 1-year contract and has been ever since he got to Star Yamaha, because he was in a unique position where he had done 3 years against the points threshold. Another rule in regional racing is you can only run 4 seasons of scoring 135 points or more in a championship before you get bumped out. That's actually pretty hard considering how many guys we see into their late 20s in the class. They only get maybe 2 years where they actually score above that, which is typically getting maybe around 3rd or 4th in the championship. On like a 9-round series, you would score over that amount of points. Jeremy, ever since he went back to Star from Geico Honda, has had 3 years of eligibility used up. So at any time he got a decent season under his belt, even if he didn't win the title, he was probably going to get bumped out. So they've always just kind of kept him on those 1-year deals. There wasn't 450 verbiage in his contract that we were aware of, because even though Star now controls the 450 program, it still is technically Yamaha's team. It is their semi. They pay the riders. The contract money goes through them. Star has been hired to manage it, set up the bikes, and sort of run it. But again, it's still kind of Yamaha, so they have a little bit of say in that. For instance, Christian Craig's 250 indoor deal and 450 outdoor deal are 2 separate contracts from what we've heard, because again, the 450 contract has to be with Yamaha. So we think that Jeremy's main reason for going to Club, at least the primary thing that maybe got his attention, is they have offered him to kind of do what he wants. We believe he can ride a 450 indoor and outdoors if he'd like, but we believe he will probably ride a 250 indoors one more time and 450 outdoors. So even if Star Yamaha had a first ride refusal against him, that's usually for somebody offering you the same type of deal. You have to match it contract length and maybe the money, or beat it and you automatically get his services if you have a first ride refusal. But with Club offering a 450 position, that is something that Star can't quite match through their current structure, or without Yamaha wanting to do it as well. So we think that is part of how he might have been able to make the move, even if there was a first rider refusal on the table. So add Jeremy to that list out. Now we have 4 riders departing the Star Yamaha 250 program. They're some of their biggest veterans. The guys that are title capable have won titles. So who does that leave them with? They currently have Levi Kitchen under contract. We believe Nate Thrasher is also contracted for next year. So 2 younger riders, up and coming. Kitchen's in his rookie year, only got to race 1 Supercross, got hurt. So 23 will basically be like a rookie year to him anyways. Thrasher will enter his 3rd year of Supercross for the team, but this year kind of struggled to make progress over last season. So it's hard to label him as somebody that could race for a championship next year. And it's really hard to see the Star Yamaha squad not line up with championship capable riders. It just, with the legacy they've been building last couple of years, yes, occasionally have to go through rebuilding processes, but it's hard to see them go through that. So their other options are to bring up amateur riders, Nick Romano, who we believe is racing the entire outdoor championship this year, and then we'll get his Supercross debut next year. And then they also have the option of bringing up another longtime Star amateur Yamaha rider of Matt LeBlanc for the last couple outdoors, and then take him to Supercross. As for Hayden Deegan, we believe he will not be pro in Supercross until 2024. So again, that leaves them with a 4-man team of pretty much almost all rookies or lower experience level riders. Albeit Jet Lawrence at a very young age just won a championship, it has been trending much older. These guys all need time to develop. So Star needs to bring in some heavy hitters. They ran a 6-man team this year, so probably means they could add 2 guys. And if what we've heard is correct, we think we know who those 2 riders are. So talking about some of their options, RJ Hampshire is currently out of contract with Rockstar Husky, and we've heard he might be linked to a ride. But after a little more digging, it sounds like it's RJ himself pushing to get on the program, but we don't know how interested Star really is. It sounds like RJ has a 1-year offer on the table to continue with Rockstar Husky. We think that's where he'll actually stay. Another long shot option that was talked about for a couple weeks is the possibility of maybe Austin Faulkner being able to be snatched up by them. His contract for next year has been kind of murky and hard to get information on. It sounds like he has a Cowie contract in place for next year, but it was initially to move him 450. It sounds like if he could have got out of that deal, if there wasn't a 250 thing on the table, he might have been able to get out and get his services. But as of now, within the last week or 2, it sounds like nope, that's off the table. He will stay at Kawasaki and likely still race a 250 next year for the Monster Energy Pro Circuit squad for Mitch Payton. So that moves us on to our next 2 most viable options, and these are the 2 that we think have gone offers or may have even signed in the last week or so, or at least have been given some sort of offer on the table. The first of those two is Jordon Smith, who has for this season rode for the Firepower Honda team, which is Yariv Konski's Australian factory Honda program that is racing in the U.S. We thought that was going to maybe be more of a long-term home for him. They're based out of MTF, where he's always trained and rode now. Back on Hondas, he would do that. The Regional 250 Supercross East for them, some Aussie Supercross, possibly the new Global Series. But we think that he now has an offer from Star, and part of the reason, and again, Star needs championship-level riders. Even though Jordon Smith has had injury-prone years, he has rode for Geico Honda. That's where he turned pro. He went to TLD KTM and almost won a championship one of his seasons there, where he came into Vegas final round. I believe it was the year the AC crashed men's bars. For a while, Jordon was going to be the championship winner before he threw it away. And then his time at Mitch Payne's team, he was very fast. He went to pro circuit next, but just on the ground a lot. He does, however, check off some boxes for Star. He has made it to the final round in championship contention. That is very important. He has won main events across multiple seasons. They need a rider that at least has that track record and has some possibility. And of course, Star has a lot of belief in their bike and their program right now that they can take somebody like Jordon and finally get the deed done, make it happen. So we believe that Jordon Smith will take one of those spots. And then the latest one is they may be adding another rider on top of him, and that might be Stilez Robertson from the Rockstar Husqvarna Group. Again, his contract is also up this year. We heard he may have received a re-up offer from Husky, but only in the 1-year basis. Shopped it around. Sounds like he got an offer from Star and has possibly taken it. Sounds like Stilez might be going there on a 2-year deal to ride for them. Again, Stilez kind of fits in between. He's not won a race, but he came in this year hurt, barely rode before the opening East Coast rounds, and was very competitive. Whole shots, ran up front, shows that he has the ability to do it. So he might be a little bit more of a long-term project for him, but he could take that step and maybe has to them shown a little more promise, at least to be able to put him in a championship position in the next year or two. So again, Stars got to rebuild their younger group coming up. They've got to try to put a position to win a championship next year and then have, say, a Thrasher, a Kitchen, and like a Stilez ready to maybe win a championship in the next year. They need to battle for wins. They need to plan this out. Again, they don't want the dominance to end. Since they pretty much won their first title in 2014, they've always been right there. They've won titles. It'd be hard to see them take a year where they take a step back, even with a very dominant 450 team like Dylan Francis and like Tomac. A lot of programs could go, hey, that's good. Our 450 team is going to be competitive. We take a rebuilding with 250. That's not the type of person Bobby Reagan is. If you ever get to meet him or talk to him, he's competitive. He wants to win. He ain't going to take a rebuilding year. Let's be honest. So that's the latest we know on the Monster Energy Star Yamaha 250 program for 2023. Again, this feature is called Rumor Mill for a reason. These are rumors, these are gossip, but these are the kind of things that mechanics, agents, team managers, media guys are all talking about right now, and the stuff that's kind of flying around that we think there is some heavy validity to. Of course, with a lot of these style contracts, we probably won't hear confirmation until the end of the year. A lot of your rider contracts run through the end of September. The famous thing is the October 1st is usually around the date you start seeing these deals come out. A lot of these could be signed before then, but we probably won't see any sort of indication on them or a rider mention them until way later into the Outdoor Championship Series. So if we hear any further updates on what the team's layout could be for next year, we'll update it, but for now, that's what we know. If you like this feature, thumbs up, like, subscribe. We like doing the rumor mills. It's fun to talk about this stuff. Who doesn't love gossip? Again, it's a little chitty-chatty. It's a little long. Sorry for the long-windedness, but we wanted to explain everything that was going on. Throw in the comment section below what you think of these opportunities, what you think of what Star's looking at, and join us on the next episode.